All right, it's been exactly 15 minutes, everyone. So welcome back. If you are here, don't do anything. Just wait because I'm going to launch something. Paul, let's see. All right, let me see your answers if you're here. What have you done in the break? Personally, I poured myself some coffee to wake up a bit more. Washed laundry. Hold on. Ezgi, how did you wash laundry in 15 minutes? You just put them into the machine or brush? Okay. Lie down, hot tea. Hope it's not noisy. Okay. Play some games in 15 minutes. Wow. All right. So we are back here. So can you see the document again? So everyone is here except for one person. What can I say? All right. So let's close it up. And can you try to edit it? Um, this is a new feature of Zoom, so I haven't tried it. Okay, then let's leave it there. So, uh, okay, let me show myself. I forgot to turn on my cam. So let's read this statement again, and let's write a bad paraphrase for this. Let's write a faulty or a bad paraphrase. You can write it in the chat box or you can try to write it here in this link if it works. So I will try to do one for myself. It is, but it is easy. And yeah. And I think I liked slowing down for a bit, Normally we're too quick. And I'm also trying to write. Hi, Su Kahraman, are you here? Type 1 if you're here. Cem Bekçi, are you here? Type 1 if you're here. Not everyone. Yes, thank you, Cem. İzel Bayar, are you here? İzel. Ömer Özkılınç. All right, Ömer, thank you. Yusuf Er, are you here? All right, Yusuf, thank you. Zilan, are you here? Zilan. All right, perfect. So, Abdullah has written a sentence. Unfortunately, I can't copy, but I'll do OCR real quick. Okay, I'm also trying to write one. Yeah, I agree, I agree. But it also helps. Rana said this one. Okay. Ben de yapacağım. One sec. If the okay, and this is mine. Okay, let's start with Abdullah's. Abdullah says, student instead of student, it says learners often believe highlighting is good. Yes, we should not use, guys, by the way, for those who are watching this recording or for the ones who are joining late, we are writing the bad versions, the faulty versions on purpose here. So these are all bad, okay? All right. So is good, he says. Yeah. Normally it was effective. He chosen a verse, and it should be verse, a verse option here, but research shows it only helps. Abdullah, but you're still keeping the meaning. Normally it's good, but this for this one, um, we should, I think, a little bit divert from the meaning. It helps when learners know how to choose. Sorry, that was my mistake. How to choose key ideas without that skill. Highlighting becomes copying. Okay, not too bad. Raina says students think. Yes, I also did think. And I also changed student. Highlighting is effective. And This is not bad actually right now. Like this is a good rephrase. Not perfect, but it's a good rephrase. So we don't want good ones here. But it usually helps only when you forgot to add the research, the literature, which is good that you forgot. It usually helps only when they already you were able to convey the idea here as it was, which is not good for our case here today. They already have the skill of identifying key ideas. Instead of how to select, you changed it, and it seems that it has been um, rephrased, not rephrased, but rewritten only. So in some papers, mostly from non-peer-reviewed journals, we can see that in the literature review, they have sentences, but all the sentences look like they were taken from another paper and just rewritten only through a tool, with a tool, which is not good in the end. Without this skill, highlighting turns into copying. Maybe too close, maybe very different in meaning. Um, no worries there. So I wanted to do it a bit like a bad paraphrase, but I chose not too close. So pupils instead of students, I chose pupils most of the time instead of often. And I think most of the time is a bit more frequent than often. So this is a bad rephrase. Believe, think that highlighting is efficacy. So efficacy is a noun here, and I cannot use it. So it should be effective or efficient. However, so I changed but to however literary. The tree in itself is not okay. We should say literature review or the literature or the research put forward. I changed shows to put forward. It has become only more wordy, and you don't understand whether it's past simple tense or um, simple present. It generally assists, so mostly generally assists. So it seems that I am only writing synonyms here, which is too bad. Instead of helps, I say assists if the students know. So when and if they are two different things. So my me choosing if is not very good. So we don't want it to be good here. If the students know selecting main ideas, selecting or how to select, they're kind of the same. So key ideas. Instead of key ideas, I said main ideas. Is there a difference between key and main ideas? I think no, but you are again diverting to some other terminology. In fact, you needed to keep the key ideas. Without that skill, instead of without that skill, I said when you don't have that strategy. So when you don't have is a little bit wordy and non-academic. And instead of skill, I chose strategy, which was also a bad choice in normal times, of course. Highlighting turns into copying. Becomes, instead of becomes, I've chosen turns into. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing to do. Turns into copying, turns into copying. I think we kind of taught the same with Rana. Okay, Abdullah says highlighting is commonly seen by students as an effective study method, but research says that it works only when learners already have the skill of selecting main ideas. Abdullah, like, did you do it uh, to do it a bad phrase or a good one? Because I think it looks good, doesn't it? Maybe you missed that part, but not important. Okay. Um, this activity, um, sorry, I didn't mean to say Abdullah Mohammed. I meant to say Abdullah El Hussein, the last one who texted, who who written. in the chat box. Not this Abdullah, but the El Hussein one. All right. So this activity was kind of like brushing our teeth with our left hand or the less used hand. So now let's do it into, let's turn it into a good paraphrase. New structure, synonyms, and the same meaning. I already said, I think, with your less used hand. So in that case, doing it with your right. Like, no, I've started with left and then I clarified it with your less used hand. We are both right, don't worry. Okay, Ezgi has said something. Let me copy that with OCR again. So Ezgi says many students hmm, think and believe. So do we have a good synonym for believe? They think, they believe, or they're in belief of, maybe. I think highlighting helps them study, but research, the effective part, as you do you have that effective part helps them study? Research shows. For those who can already, it's mainly for those who can already pick out important ideas. I think we should stick to the key ideas. But pick out is a good choice here. Without the skill highlighting, it's just copying. I am not really sure, but it's not bad. So let me do the next one too, real quick. So this was from Abdullah Mohammed. Abdullah, thank you for your contributions today. So students tend to think that highlighting helps, but studies only show it show show that it only works. It only works when learners can identify. Identify is also a good choice of words here. Otherwise, it just becomes copying. I hate when Zoom does not let me copy what my students say. This is from Blah. So, Abdullah Mohammed, when you say it just becomes copying, you are actually keeping the uh, idea word for word here. Maybe we can do direct quotation for this here. Students often think highlighting is a good is a good way to study. It's a good way to study. But it only helps if they know how to choose the important point. If you don't have the skill, highlighting, if they don't have the skill, highlighting just means copying parts of text. Important points are different than keywords, so I wouldn't choose that. And he said, students think highlighting is influential. Okay, but according to research, according to like, are we talking about a specific research study or the collection of research? So we should use the singular version. According to research, it generally helps only if learners already know the selection of key ideas, mm, and highlighting turns into copying without that skill. That should also work. It's only useful in learners already know how to highlight the main idea. Not bad, guys, not bad. So if I had to do it, what would I say? Let me check. Highlighting is believed to be, let's say, impactful by students. However, the current state of the literature portrays that it is helpful in the case that learners are already competent in selecting key ideas. And the absence of that skill turns highlighting into uh, copying. Contrary to what some students may think, research shows. Contrary to what some students may think, research shows that highlighting is generally beneficial only if they already possess the skill of identifying key ideas. Otherwise, the method is more akin to copying. This is a very good one. Mm, just assume the highlighting improves learning. Yet research indicates it is beneficial for those who already know how to identify essential items without this ability. No worries. So I can copy that for you. So Rana has said something like this. Last three, or yeah, last two. Messages are very good without visible highlighting tends to turn into a simple form of copy. Yeah, actually, I think we learned it in a way. So we can also change like the structure of the sentence, just like I have done. I've turned into a passive one. Highlighting is believed to be influential, impactful, effective by students most of the times. However, it is in the current literature that it can only help when students are competent in selecting key ideas, and the absence of that skill turns highlighting into copying. But contrary to is also very good. And instead of believe, I Habiba used assume. I think it's much more academical, much more academic, and it really gives out the idea that what they believe actually is just an assumption. Okay, that was a long but I think a good learning experience. So let's add to your sentences a citation. It can be direct or indirect. You can do this to your own sentences. Yeah, you can make it up. Abdullah, yes, you're right. Believing is not assuming, but the research shows what students believe actually is not very reliable. So we put our own commentary there and we turn it into assume. I think it's not a bad thing to do that. Let me think. It's the researcher's choice, I believe, but personally, I would do that. So Raina has added Gutale et al. Mhm. So Raina, here you say that Gutale has mm, published this paper with other co-authors. Okay, perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can give another citation, not Gutale per se. You could write your own surname and you can add a page number if you have directly taken some part of it, at least some part of the primary source. Students frequently assume that, all right, so Ibrahimoğlu, okay. So it should have been like Habiba, if you say like if you put quotation marks to the whole thing, it means that you have taken the whole thing altogether, which is not advised. And yeah, you can take a sentence or part of a sentence, and after that you should say İbrahimoğlu, comma, and a space 2025, and a comma, and a space, and page number 23. Highlighting works only when students are able to identify. So, okay, Abdullah Hussein. So here I understand that the Smith has written just like that, and you have copied it just like that. So because I've seen your quotation marks at the beginning and at the end, it means that whole thing was borrowed and it was on the page 45. Okay, no space after the first parenthesis, Abdullah Mohammed, and no space after the year as well. Then it's good. So for SGs, I could say um, an established scholar says highlighting is effective. So if we know the scholar, why don't we write her name here? Like, why do we say an established scholar? Because we know the name already. But even if that's the case, you needed to go with page 22 because you've taken this part as it is, and we should know on which page it was. Okay, as you wanted to uplift, and it wouldn't be very much objective, which would be contrary to what you have written in your exam paper. For the question 6 or 5, I don't remember quite, but okay. Of course, this is the topic of next week, writing the citations correctly. However, you know the most part of it. All right. So, I'm going to share this document with you. If I can, let me see if I can download it. Right now, by the way, I sent you a private message, direct message. Have you seen it? About the link. Check the link if the link works, and I will try to download this one to share it with you. Okay, I can't download this one. I don't know why. I'll try later. All right. Anyways, same. Okay, thank you. So let me stop sharing this part of the screen and let's get back to our lesson. So how many minutes has it been since we started today? So we started at 9:03. Okay, we have 10 minutes more. I hate seeing myself in the full screen. So let me share the screen as quick as possible. Finally. Okay. In previous weeks, in the previous week, we talked about finding evidence and type of evidences here. If you can remember, we had quotation statistics, opinions, examples, facts, and we had these words: fallacy, biased, reliability, primary source, secondary source, and we looked into where we can find evidences, let's say, materials. and we talked about journals, peer reviewed, etc. And now we are in the conducting research part, and you will need to conduct research for your, again, presentations. 1 second. Guys, can we have 5 minutes off together? I have an important call. Sorry, guys. I normally don't do this, but I was expecting a call for days from my internet service provider about the cancellation of my contract for my other house, and that's why I needed to do this. So sorry for that. So, you will need to create, like you will need to conduct present research for your presentations, maybe thesis, maybe some homework that your teachers give you, and maybe your teachers will require you to write some research. I know for a fact that students in our department, my department is English Language and Literature, they need to write a graduation thesis, if I'm not mistaken, and they need to conduct a research. And other departments, I believe, need to conduct a research, like some sort of research. So this should be helpful for us. So, um, in the first weeks, I think we've talked about brainstorming. It's the act of gathering and creating ideas. And as far as I remember, we said that we need to pour our ideas onto the paper and make some connection between our interests and find a common ground and work on that topic. And when we need more, let's say, opening up, then we could go back to AI chatbots where we can talk about our ideas and we can decide a common, let's say, topic of research together. And we have reference, but here it talks about like the libraries, books with reference number, which we are not interested in for this course's study. And search string are the words or phrases that you search with on a search engine. And synonyms, you know, synonyms. Okay. So, did you know that Bacon University has, and the students of Bacon University has access to online libraries? Okay. So I believe you can see my screen here. First off, by the way, for everything, Do you have access? Can you access to your student email? Can you log into that with no problems? Because no matter what you do, you should be able to. Because sometimes we send emails to our students and we do not get a reply. And sometimes the memurs, right? They send you an email and you don't reply, and there like arises some problems. So when you have access to your email, you have lots of opportunities. For example, when you have your email, Canva is free for you. Sorry. Yeah, this is my student's account. So you can have a premium account with .edu email of Bacon University. And also, Spotify and other platforms give you a discount if you have a student email. So make sure that you have access to your student email to start off with. So here is the library of Bacon. I think this is for students, and like of course they have it for us as well, but I don't remember, like there are different usernames we use for different purposes. But normally when you go in there with your ID or student number and with a passport, that that is the same with your email passport. Maybe you can go in there, or if you cannot enter, like this is for öğrenci, so I cannot go in. However, you can, like if you are not able to log in, you could click on Şifrenutum, or like I forgot my passport, or send the activation link again. And there you will see, like when you search for it, you can access to journals and books that are normally paid. So actually, like my accounts are already connected. So let me search for English for academic purposes. So actually, I can reach, let's not say, let's change that to online learning. I can access many of the documents because I already have access to the universities. Somehow, I don't know, it happened. So maybe you cannot hear, but with the help of student email and with the help of e-library remote access portal, you can. All right. If not, you can always ask the IT, like if you can see, there was a system administrator. Here you can access to system administrator. Let me try this one too. God damn you. So in the next session, I think I'll have access to it. Or okay, so you have e-library and you can search for academic articles and books there. And if you can cite it in your presentations, like the graduation theses and the homeworks, as I've told you before, the grades and the points you will get will be much higher. All right. So when it comes to search engines, you should be a little bit skillful. So when you search for some keywords, maybe you get 1 million results, but there's also synonyms you can use for it, right? So you should also be careful about that. just like it says in here. So there are some strategies you can use. For example, if you add site at the end of your search string, it returns results from specific URLs and domains. I think I've shown you before. For example, online banking site drive.google.com. When you search for this online banking, and it only gives you the result from Google Drive. Let me search for this one. So I search for English activities, and there I have access to IATs, books, PowerPoint presentations. And I think that is a good resource. So I will add a shortcut to my own drive, Yeah. Okay. And there are books in here. Ardashik, you are not here? Okay, let's go back and let's add something else to our search. So when you search for Learn English site drive, you could get some, of course, files. They might be linked to Learn and English. However, if you just want to search for the Learn English phrase together, you can add a quotation mark, and then you could see the sources right here as they are. Mhm. Let's say drama. So I've seen people accessing movies just by doing this. So we also have the file type. I think I've shown you this before when searching for PPT, PDF, and searching for reports. And here are the other ones. For example, you have OR to find pages that contain one of several words, plagiarism or malpractice. Online or digital learning. Okay, before moving into reliability, let's take 15 minutes of break. It's been more than 45 minutes. So first 5 minutes, I will be here. Set up your timers for 15. So hope to see you in 15. And I am here if you have any questions or anything else you want to share. Bye bye for now. We don't use Canva in this course, but you use it for creating, let's say, posters or pictures, something like that. With Vacant Edu student email address, you can have a free premium account, if I'm not mistaken, if that hasn't changed recently. Okay, cool. You're welcome. Alpay, Yaila, are you here? I sent you an email. All right, I see no more questions, so hope to see you in 12 minutes. Bye bye for now.